Something I've noticed that good and great leaders do is they step back from their life and they're able to gain self-awareness, and they're doing this intentionally, and they have practices to make sure that this is happening by getting feedback from others, by talking to people and clarifying it as they process it, and also by journaling. I've seen this consistently, that a lot of people that I admire and respect that seem to have some insight, they have practices of gaining insight through their own writing and looking at it and analyzing it and being willing to do that, to put it out on paper. So today we're going to talk about this wonderful insight gaining activity that I see a lot of leaders engage in, of journaling. I have a special guest who's been doing this for over 4 years, who has really great insight today. And I'm going to introduce him shortly, but I want to welcome you to the Decide Your Legacy podcast. So the topic today is on journaling, and I'm Adam Gragg. I'm a legacy coach and founder of Decide Your Legacy. And I'm here with both Nick Bertram and Kelsey Torkelson. Kelsey is an assistant legacy coach at Decide Your Legacy. And again, I'm going to give Nick some time to introduce himself in just a moment. Before I do that, I want to share with you a fear I've faced recently, and the fear is to actually not be a control freak. And when I'm speaking to a group and when I'm actually engaging a client, in the past, I would be scripted and over-prepared. And as I have, through my own journaling and reflecting, I've realized that I do best when I let go and just let it flow. And I feel like I've made some mistakes recently. It was really after speaking on Friday last week that I'm like, I have got to just let go, because there were times when I sort of was scripted, and I know that it's not nearly as enjoyable for me, but it's a really scary thing. I have to trust God with it by stepping back, and I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth then. It could be really bad. It could be really scary to other people. I mean, but it's that letting go process. The reason I want to share a fear is because I don't find much more beneficial to your mental health than actually taking risks, good calculated risks where you're stepping out, and not much more damaging than playing it safe and just going with the flow, the security mentality. So again, journaling, really big topic. There's a lot of benefits to it, and you're going to get some great insights. So some of the benefits are clarity, and some are really seeing how you're thinking. And it's a great way to remember things that are important to you. It's a great way to have a conversational tool when you talk about your journaling entries with other people. It's also really great to look and remember what you were writing in the past to see how you're growing. And there's some cost to not being self-reflective. I mean, stuck in the same old stuff, not changing, not remembering, forgetting. There's like a lot of stuff that happens that's positive when you step back and have that clarity in your life. So Nick Bertram, go ahead and introduce yourself and what you've done in anything you want to share that would be beneficial for the crowd to hear.
Okay, my name is Nick Bertram. I'm 70 years old. I'm married. Yeah, yes. Adam just turned 52 yesterday. So,
yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I'm 70 years old. I live in Great Bend, Kansas. I've got a wife, 3 kids, a stepson and 2 daughters, and 6 grandchildren. So all delightful human beings. Worked for the same company for 52 years now.
That's amazing.
So,
yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is amazing.
That's a rare deal right there. So the same company for 52 years.
For 52 years, yeah.
Wow. You're still working there.
Yes, I am still hanging on. So I'm still there. Yes.
Yeah, and quite a journey. That's like that's pretty fascinating thing when you talk to somebody how a company has changed over 52 years. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, it's a journey, and every part of it has been, most of it in leadership positions. So yeah, a lot of self-reflection in that.
Yeah. Okay. So, there are days when I journal and days when I don't. And I'm not as consistent as Nick. I would say he's probably the most consistent person that I know over the last 4 years. And the days that I can see a correlation, and the days that are really good, and when I'm really willing to put pen to paper, but do it honestly and engage in it honestly. So we're going to jump right in and get to some questions here.
All right. Good.
So, Nick, what first inspired you to start journaling 4 years ago?
Well, I had signed up with Decide Your Legacy with Adam to talk about or to work out some problems, really just the whole, well, a couple of things. Getting older and the career going away, I could see that was coming to an end in the near future. And that I was probably I was a workaholic. So that identity was wrapped up in that, and that really bothered me. And then some relationship problems. So originally that's why I came to Adam. And through that, it's pretty easy for me to talk about that stuff with Adam, but I could sense that, my thoughts were kind of scattered, and I don't know how clear they were to me. They weren't, and not really taking the time to think through some of that stuff. So I started journaling as a method of slowing down and taking a closer look at what was bothering me and maybe some of the answers to some of those things, which otherwise I was just too scattered, really. And I remember talking to Adam about that in one of the sessions, about just the effort it took to slow down and think about things instead of just letting them go and go to the next thing. But writing them down really brought some where you have to actually think about it and slow down to put the words on paper was extremely helpful.
I started journaling when I was 6 because my parents brought me to a psychologist when I was 6, and the guy encouraged me to journal my thoughts. And it was a lot of drawing that I did at that time. Mm-hmm. And then when I was a sophomore in college, I was struggling, and my parents sent me to a counselor. I came back from school, and that counselor encouraged me to journal. So I was probably 19 or close to 20. I was 19 or 20, and that's when I started doing it consistently. And I ended up burning the first 5 years of my journals one time because I was embarrassed when I wrote them. I was embarrassed about what I read in them, and I decided I didn't ever want anybody to see this stuff because it was okay. I regret doing that, but I was just in this mode. This was 5 years ago, so I did it. So I can't do anything about it, but I did it anyway.
Yeah. I love journaling. I'm a girl. We have diaries back then, and that's what we had. So was there a person that nudged you towards writing down and telling you that you should journal?
Yeah, Adam did. He suggested that I start a journal, which I had never done. I've thought about it through the years, but never took the time. But yeah, Adam decided that would be a thing that could help me get kind of some clarity on things and settle into my thought process. So yeah, I started then.
That's super cool.
January 22nd of 21.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so you were 66 and you started a new habit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
You can change.
Oh, you can, yes.
Yeah, and a lot of the clients that we challenge, they take a little while to get started. Mm-hmm. And then part of our process in coaching is to remind them that they made this commitment, because Nick made the commitment. It wasn't me I didn't make the commitment. It was a challenge that we had made, but he started right away. I remember it was just, he was in, and then he'd been so passionate about it, which is why we wanted to have him on the podcast a couple times here with this topic, which, by the way, this is one of the most, we did an episode before on journaling, and it's one of our most popular. That was probably 2+ years ago. Yeah. And it still gets significant downloads every month, so I knew it was going to be a good one to have and redo.
Good. That's good.
And you just take action. And then excited about it. Like you have at times, you've been a proponent of doing a Decide Your Legacy branded journal, which is still on the radar and everything, but you had that excitement.
Yep.
So a lot of times we think that it has to be complicated. Can you tell me and describe to the audience what your journaling routine looks like today?
Well, to start with, it can be as complicated or as simple as you want it. And usually that depends on the day. I have not. I was looking through the books, and there were some days where I maybe wrote 3 or 4 sentences. It was late, getting back, or from somewhere, or something like that. Some days it was more, but it doesn't have to be complicated. I do mine in the evening. Not sure if that's the best way, but I do it because I got the day in back of me that I can think through what happened during the day and some of the things I want to correct the next day or work on. So that's what I do. It usually takes like between 10 and 20 minutes. Sometimes I'll start and leave off for a little bit, a few minutes, and then come back to it. And like I say, sometimes it looks like a weather report, and sometimes it looks like the next novel. But
you're pretty flexible with it, though.
Yeah, I think that's the key to it, really. You have to be pretty easy on yourself, because you're not always going to be writing the next great novel.
Right.
Sometimes it's just my dog bit me, doesn't like me anymore, or the weather's great. It's just whatever. That's the beauty of the thing, because there'll be days when you want to do more and you got something to work through, and there's some days when things may be all right.
So when you journal, do you find that you feel a certain way when you're done typically versus when you started, or is it any patterns there on how it impacts your moods?
Well, it's a routine, so you feel good that you accomplish things. And when you work through an issue, when you're thinking about it, and you write it down, you take the time to write it down, you see it there. One thing about journaling, it's pretty easy to lie to yourself if you're not writing it down. But if you're sitting there writing those words down, you're a little more prone to be honest, because you're going to look back, or you're going to at those words, and it just makes you a little more honest, I think, with yourself.
That's a big deal right there.
Yeah,
it makes you honest with yourself.
Yeah, it helps. You can't just tell yourself some falsehood. You're writing it down, so it's more meaningful, I guess, or how to explain it, really. But
how often do you go back and read what you have written, reread?
Oh, not a great deal, but usually if I come to a stumbling block, like I've got some problem that I recognize that it's probably one I've had before, right? Mm-hmm. Because these things just keep reoccurring to one extent or another, maybe a different situation, but I'll go back and look at it and see what I was thinking, read back through like a year ago or 2 years ago, find the same date and read those entries and see what I was thinking and what was happening. And it's interesting for one thing, and it does help. You get a sense of how far you've came in dealing with some of the issues. Doesn't mean you cured them all, but you do get a sense that, it's okay. You made it through it.
And how would you, just curious out of that question, like how would you say this could benefit a business leader?
Well, just it does me. It gives you a sense. If you're making a decision or involved in decision making, or especially with, if you're making those decisions, and all of them got to do with people for the most part, that's what a leader does. It's not usually much of anything except dealing with people. And so when you are forced, I shouldn't say forced, when you take the opportunity to write down some of those ways of dealing with it, and you think about, and there are several examples I could give, but where you actually have to think about how you're going to deal with that guy or that situation, pretty helpful, as you have to put it down in words sometimes. It helps dealing with people, and that's most leadership is people issues. So, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I find myself journaling when I'm discouraged sometimes because I get driven to journal when something doesn't go the way I want it to go.
Yeah.
And then I look at it and it's not as bad. I mean, but most of the time I don't want to journal. Most of the time I do not. It's an intentional act. It's not something I look forward to most of the time initially. It's like going to the gym. It's like I don't really enjoy going to the gym. I do enjoy going on runs sometimes when I like the book I'm listening to or whatever, but I don't really enjoy certain things. But I know most of the time I feel better afterwards.
Yeah, journaling, it's like it helps you get your thought processes clearer for me. It's like when I get them out on, like they're all jumbled in my head. But then when I write them down, they're clear, and it helps me understand my thoughts better and my thinking.
Yeah, you organize. It's like mental workouts, really, where if you go to the gym, you're working out to get to a certain point.
Yep.
And the same way with journaling. When you're going through that exercise, it's the same thing. Sometimes, you don't want to do it because sometimes you just don't want to take the time. Sometimes you don't want to face up to some of the nonsense that you're dealing with. So.
You know, that is a major point that can motivate and inspire people is you go into your job and you feel like it's a clumbled mess.
Yeah.
There's all these projects and all these situations and all these loose ends, basically, and you take the time to say, I'm going to start to organize this a little bit. It's like, and it's cleaning up things in your mind.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you see you can make a decision, a better decision. It's clear for you. And it relieves a lot of stress. But it may not seem like it's going to have that much of an impact. Because if I put down pen to paper or whatever, I don't know what I'm going to write. I mean, ultimately, I don't know what I'm going to write.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm just kind of hoping that it would be, like the word music, it comes from the Greek God somehow, like the muse, like you don't know. It's a creative process that comes out.
Yeah.
Very worthy of the time you put into it.
Yeah, in the process is when once you start writing, you may have a specific thing, but usually by the time you get done, it's you've found some additional things to add to it.
Yeah, and just to encourage you guys listening too, it's like I really think you go through your journal and then you can start organizing it after you've written it. Mm-hmm. You can start shifting and rewriting things. You can cross things out. You can check mark things. You can do whatever you want with it because no one else is reading it but you. It's only for you. Mm-hmm. That's a safe place for you to go. And if somebody reads someone else's journal, I find that to be pretty discouraging to think that would happen. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It does, but like it should be very sacred to you. And
it feels like that. It does. Yeah.
Well, it's good because no one's read your journal to violate that, right? So
I hope not. No.
Right. No. Yeah. But I do think it's great to see in your journal stuff you want to share with somebody else.
Yeah. I've done that before. I write a lot. I love to write, and whenever I'm going through some hard things, I'll write them and then I will reread them and I'll be like, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to read this to Jeff, my husband. Yeah, and it helps me and he's like, oh, okay. I didn't know all that was going on in your head.
That is really exciting. That's great. I would encourage you, in fact, to say, like, look at your journal and see what is in there that would be encouraging or helpful to talk to somebody else about. Because I can promise you that there probably are things in there that, like, I could talk to my wife about it. Maybe it'll improve your marriage or improve your leadership. Like, I was journaling about you today.
Yes.
You know?
Do you want to read it? No.
And I got something I want to share with you, really. Yeah.
What breakthroughs have surprised you along the way as you've journaled?
Well, I've thought about that, and there's nothing really outstanding, I think, except one thing. I think I've tried to, as I've developed in the writing, is put more emphasis on the positives or gratitude things. Some people keep that's a whole nother subject, I guess, because some people keep a separate journal for that, just the gratitude part of their. But I don't do that. I put usually, and not every day, but usually I put some things down in my journal that I'm thankful for. And I've noticed that my attitude changes with that, because now during the day, if I think about there's something that that worked out right or I'm thankful for, then it becomes something that I remember to write down in my journal. So it's a change in the way you think, really, because if you come at, I noticed that reading through some of the early journals, there's more negative things than positive. And as the process has continued, now there's positive, and I think that's purposeful on my part, just because there's still some stuff that I didn't like what happened here or this, and I need to do this, but there's a lot more positivity than negativity.
That's pretty amazing.
That's cool.
Which is good.
Yeah,
it is
helpful.
Yeah, you probably get excited about it. I think I would get more excited about it if I was consistent as you, because I do get excited about things more when they're consistent in my life.
You do, but there's times when I'd rather not write. I mean, I think that's just part of it. But usually it's good to get it down on paper type of feeling. So.
And do you ever have times where you sit down to journal, you think you're going to do it for 10 minutes, but then you end up writing for a half an hour?
Oh yeah,
that does happen. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting.
Sometimes you got to force yourself to fill half a page, and sometimes it takes another page. So
you don't want to stop. Like,
right.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. It starts flowing. How do you explain that? Like, that's really interesting, because it's like the idea is you started it, and then like wow, where did these come from?
Well, I think that's the beauty of the thing, because of the process makes you clarify that stuff, where it may be just a jumble in your head when you sit down and you really don't know what you're going to write, but through the process it becomes clear. Yeah, maybe what you need to do, or what you're thinking, or just letting some of those feelings out, I think is part of it too.
Well, you've kind of already answered this, but have there been times when you didn't feel like journaling? And so, but you did it anyways.
I did it anyway.
You did it anyways.
Persistence is the key to success.
That is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, okay, what about it's super late, you're super tired.
Yeah.
And Denise wants you to just go to bed.
Yeah.
Do you still journal?
I do, but it'll become short because like 2 or 3 sentences. And I was looking at that very few times when I put an explanation. Listen, I was gone all day or got company and didn't get it done. I put an explanation in the journal just because I want to I don't want to consider myself a slacker in a year when I look back. But no, sometimes it's difficult. But that's what I say. You got to give yourself some slack when you're doing this, or become too much of a chore.
I don't know if you can do anything well long term when you're not giving yourself grace. In the process of growth, that's
the black and white thinking isn't good. If you're not giving yourself grace, then you're
that's going to be hard to keep it up if you don't.
It will.
And that goes against what we're teaching people, to live in the sevens.
That's right.
Yep, so. That's right.
You won't do it unless you're a 7.
Yes.
Some days you're an 8, some days you're a 9, but some days you're a 2.
Yep.
And you just got it done, though.
What would you say to someone who is wanting to start journaling, but they didn't know where to start?
I think it's something that you just sit down and, like we said, give yourself some grace, some room, and just start putting down whatever you feel. Put down what you're thankful for and start there, because that usually will lead to more. If you just put down 3 things you're thankful for that day, or you put down, start with, it was cold out today, or whatever. It once you get started, I think pretty
easy. In your career, being in the construction industry and then being around a lot of other leaders and being in leadership positions, and how would you talk to somebody who's like really closed off to it because it's not macho and it's not, it's too emotional. They're so negative about it. I mean, not that they would even ask you to help them journal. I'm not saying that, but what would you say to somebody like that?
Well, I would say that those things help you to work through today's problems or tomorrow's problems. Most people when they initially think about it. And I've had this discussion with people at work because they had listened to some of the other podcasts about journaling and had that discussion. And most of them, when you have that discussion, will say, yeah, that'd probably be something I would find useful because it would help me in my work life, just trying to get organized and think about the next day's activity. And some of them consider it just a thing to organize their business, like tomorrow or today I did this and this, so they can look back. It's a record of what they did. But through that, I think that you start to put down some of the struggles that people in the construction business go through, or anybody really, but.
Could you confidently say to somebody who said, like, I'm so stressed about my job and my team and I'm running this company and I don't know how, I'm overwhelmed and everything. Could you confidently say, like, if you journaled every day for 10 minutes, it would help you?
I could.
You could?
Yeah. I would say that,
okay.
Without hesitation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you would say that.
Yeah. If you sit down and do that, you'll discover something.
It'll probably could improve your marriage and your relationship with your kids and who you hire, who you don't hire, what decisions you make, big decisions, money.
It helps you think through that because you can get so tied up in the daily grind of business that you forget about some of those things that really matter, your family, some of those friendships, just a slew of things that will – it's easy to let those things slide if you get so tied up in business, and a lot of leaders do. They get so wrapped up in their business. But sitting down and writing something about it would help you get centered back on why you're doing it in the first place.
And make it not so important. It's not your value, your identity. So today some people were asking me, we went out for lunch for my birthday, and they asked me what my goals were for the next year, and journaling would be a really good goal. I need to remember those that I shared with you, Kelsey, what I shared earlier, but because I don't. I think one was, anyway, don't share all those, but one of them was kind of a silly one. Oh, you remember what they were? You have to tell me. All right, you got to remember what those are.
We'll keep,
right.
yes. Are there specific questions or prompts that you go to for your journaling, or do you just start writing?
Well, I tried when I first started out with just a blank page type journal, and then I saw one that had different questions like, what was your mood today? Which made you think about that a little bit. What are you thankful for? What affirmative thing can you say about yourself? Things like that. And that's kind of handy. It's nice because it forces you to think about those things. And then when you know you're going to answer those the next day, that's helpful. But anymore, I just have a blank page and start writing. I always try to include, like I said, some gratitude thing because that usually leads to others. So.
That's what I do too. And mine is I have I like to look at what I'm grateful for. Because Adam also taught me that because if we need, and then it makes you look for things intentionally. And when you're looking for good things, it's hard to see the bad things.
It's hard.
You'll see the good things.
Yeah, it's what you start looking for, you'll seeing.
See. Yep.
So,
dude, I remember some times when I was so low in my life, going through hard stuff, and that was the last thing I would ever want to do, and have the least amount of hope in. Like, it's not going to help me, and even then, it would just help me a little bit. It would just the journaling and the gratitude part of the journaling would just help me a little bit, and I would even not even want to admit that it would actually help me because I was so stuck, but it was helping me. A little growth is a lot of growth over time as it multiplies.
Yes. My experience though is a little different. I find it easier to write when I'm in a situation where things have been difficult or that when everything seems like it's going well. You can write about it. It just doesn't seem as urgent, maybe urgent. I don't know if urgent's the right word, but a little different. When it's
almost less creative.
Yeah, because you're
not coming from
everything's good. There's just whatever. But
Yeah.
if things are rough, then I can write.
I can write. Yeah. I need this now.
Yeah, I need this. Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes I get down and I'm writing so fast and I'm thinking so fast my hands can't keep up with my.
Yeah, it forces you to slow down.
It does, because your thinking is going so fast, and the writing really does make you slow down.
Like I mentioned earlier, that was a key to some of the struggles that I was going through, was just slowing down enough to really think through it. Without that, it's just easier to skip over stuff.
And anybody out there listening that says they don't have enough time for this, just look at your screen time on your phone, as Kelsey would say.
Yes.
And you do have time for this.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. That's my answer for everyone when they say they're too busy. I was like, let me check your screen time.
And that's probably true.
That is a great.
Yes. My friends do not like me because I ask them that a lot.
I'm too busy to play golf. What was your screen time? 5 hours a day, average?
Yeah.
You're not too busy to play golf. You're too busy not to play golf, or not to work out, or not to go on a walk, or not to do, read a book.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the last question for you. If you stopped journaling, what do you think would happen to you, and how do you think it would impact you?
Well, it'd be a change of routine, right? So it disrupt. I don't. People need routines, I think, to a certain extent. That's okay to get out of them every once in a while, but when it'd be a change of routine, so that'd be something. But another thing, you wouldn't have that time to sit down and self-examine what you've done, and I think it would take some of the joy out of those day-to-day experiences if you didn't stop and think about them and write them down where you can remember. And that's another thing it does, is help you remember what you were thinking and some things that you might want to stick with you. So it'd be a change in the way you think. Mm-hmm. I think you'd be less satisfied with life. You'd miss some of that joy or peace maybe that comes with that self-reflection that you do on a daily basis.
It definitely forces you to slow down and silence the world around you and just focus on what's in your head and what's bothering you or what's making you happy.
Yep.
So many things that are noise, and it gives you the truth to stay grounded. So, I could certainly, as I have, convinced myself that it's not necessary, but even talking about it right now, I'm more excited to do it.
So you're going to journal tonight?
I will journal tonight.
Okay.
Is that a solid commitment?
That's a solid commitment.
So what time this evening?
I would 8 o'clock. Like that's my wind down time starts.
Okay.
And my wind down time does get sucked out with other things that aren't as good, but usually it's unproductive things. It's like watching the news on YouTube videos is a bad habit I've developed, just saying it's okay, but a lot of time and not good.
Yeah.
So really good. So, hey, if you found this podcast helpful, I would encourage you to check out Shatterproof Yourself Light. It's a free mini course with 7 small steps to a giant leap in your confidence. It's designed for you, the business leader, and for you, the individual. There's a worksheet that you fill out along with that. And the great part about that worksheet is it's going to inspire you to make a commitment, inspire you to make commitments in each of those 7 areas. And just one commitment can change your life. Just like one conversation can change your life. Makes a huge difference. So as you heard Nick talk today, and you heard Kelsey talk today, and you heard us discuss this content of journaling, what inspired you the most that you want to take action on? I want you to write that down, do something with it, like make a commitment to make a change and take action today, because that's how change happens. 80% of change is because you took some kind of an action. 20% is gaining insight. It's great to listen to a podcast so you finish your run, but let's go do something about it. And do that with any great podcast. You do something with the content. So you'll make my day today and you make Nick's and Kelsey's if you give us a rating and review on Apple or Spotify, and then share this content with a friend. If you know somebody that's a leader who you think might be really resistant, it could be great to just say, hey, check this out. There's this guy, Nick. He was a really grouchy leader, and now he's has a lot of insight. And used to be really mean and nasty, running a construction company, and now he's really friendly and warm. And this would be great. Send it to somebody, get somebody to check it out. You'll make my day. Subscribe and leave a rating and review on Apple or Spotify. So to decide means that you're eliminating other options. Your legacy is the impact your life has on other people. There's no positive change until you decide to change. Your legacy depends on you taking action. I want to go ahead and close the way I always do. Make it your mission today, this day, to live the life you want to be remembered for 10 years after you're gone. You decide your legacy, nobody else. I appreciate you greatly, and I'll see you next time.